In the next 10 years, more than 10 million businesses will transfer ownership. Many of those closely held businesses will pass to the next generation of family members, but not every transition is an easy one. Hello, I am Doug Marshall, partner with Marshall Valissis, and today I am talking to Michael Beck for the second time in the 3 Questions for a Professional series. We are going to explore some of the specific challenges of family successions, and I'm particularly interested in this topic because for some of my brewery owner clients, their business is very much a family affair. Michael is an executive strategist and president of Eliciting Excellence, a firm specializing in the recruiting, assessment, and development of successors. He and his team work with the leaders who will be taking over the running of a company in order to improve interpersonal skills, sharpen strategic thinking, and enhance judgment, all designed to help successors succeed and owners achieve their goals. Today, he will generously share his insights and experiences in working with the family business. Good afternoon. Great to see you again.
And great seeing you as well, Doug.
Well, let's get started. So the first question here, the first thing that I think of is that family successions are often complicated because, sometimes you have to choose between 2 children or other family members. And how do you ease some of the stresses and the tensions that come around from selecting one member over another?
And a good question, and it's spot on. In fact, it always creates tension and family friction and everything. And so it's a challenge. And truthfully, there's no perfect solution, but I have some thoughts on how to minimize the friction and the upset that might occur. I mean, a tendency could be to let the siblings, we'll use siblings as the example, let the siblings sort it out themselves and, survival of the fittest. But sometimes you end up instead with survival of the meanest or most manipulative. So that's really not a good solution. Usually a lot of the friction comes about because everyone feels they're the most competent, and that if the parent decides on one over another, it seems very arbitrary. And of course, you have all the family baggage in the background. And so I think a good approach to help ease that is to have an objective assessment done. So if you do an objective assessment, meaning you get, like we do 360 assessments, you look all around that person and get feedback. It removes the subjectivity of it, and occasionally, or many times, a clear leader emerges. It's very clear this person has the strengths needed, the other person not so much. So it allows a parent to tap somebody and be a little bit more hands-off, saying, I'm just going by these results, and would love to have you too, but I think this is best for the company. The other approach is, if you do this assessment, you end up possibly with 2 good people with different but complementary skill sets. And so it can allow you to split responsibilities that way, so they're not competing with one another and you're playing to each of their strengths. I think you still need to choose a sort of a tiebreaker. Someone needs to be a majority owner over the other. Otherwise, you're butting heads, and people, staff, employees don't know who to go to, who's the final decision maker, and you get them playing one off the other. So
what you're saying is that it's hard, but there's hope if you do it right. But let's say that an owner has already selected the family member who will be taking over. Right. What are the obstacles you've run into in developing that successor that's already been chosen?
It's an interesting question, because it would seem that the owner should be able to develop that person top to bottom and hand it over with full confidence. And often they hand over the keys with full confidence, but they shouldn't, because there are some fundamental challenges with an owner developing their own successor. Owners are really good at teaching the mechanics, and so successors can learn most all of the aspects, the mechanical aspects of the business, how to make the thing or provide the service and the marketing and finances. But there are some aspects that are not covered with that leadership, strategic thinking. Mm-hmm. And specifically, I've identified 5 areas that an owner really would have to struggle with in developing a successor. Mm-hmm. The first one, for instance, I mean, it's pretty straightforward. There are interpersonal dynamics. And so what happens is there's sometimes family baggage and the family interaction. There's work history together, and there's that. There's the kind of the overriding, or if you want to say underlying reality that the person that the successor is having these conversations with is the one who's going to ultimately decide whether they take over or not. And so that successor naturally would have to be guarded. Mm-hmm. And contrast, in order to have nice, clean, objective conversations, it really helps to have someone from the outside. You know, when I'm brought in as an executive coach, I explain to them, you know, it allows me to hit them upside the head with a 2x4. I'm like, what are you thinking? Right? Where an owner / parent can't really do that because it evokes all these other emotions. So that's one of the 5. The second one is, you know, I don't care how smart somebody is or how many years of education they've had or how many years of experience they've had in the industry. We all have blind spots.
Sure.
And you just can't see what they're missing. And so no matter how hard they work, they miss stuff. A third one that I think is very realistic and unfortunate is that everyone around the successor has an agenda. And so, you know, the owner has an agenda, their spouse, their coworkers, peers, people either want things to change or they want things to stay the same. And so it's hard to get objective perspective with an owner developing their successor. The other 2 issues are kind of more of a practical matter. One are time constraints. It's called leadership and successor development rather than training. Training, you can read a book and be better at it, right? Development takes time. You help someone change their perspective. You help them practice a new strategy, a new technique, a new interpersonal skill, and they correct it, and then you improve it. And so it can take 6 to 12 months. Many owners don't have that time. Not that they don't have the 6 to 12 months, they don't have the time to devote to helping the successor develop. And then the last one is also practical, and that's skill set. So owners are excellent at the business of their business. They have that full skill set, but the skills that it takes to run that business are different skills to coach and develop somebody. And I mean, I know I'm a better coach than I was 20 years ago when I started coaching, and you just refine those skills, you become expert at your field. So over the years also, I've noticed that most executives, the coaching and mentoring doesn't come naturally, and they needs to be groomed. So the bottom line is most owners really aren't that good at coaching and developing their successor. Yeah.
We never stop learning, do we? We never stop developing.
Shouldn't stop. Yeah.
So, Michael, are there any other issues owners face when developing their child or other family members to take over?
You know, it's interesting because perhaps after listening to what I just said, it kind of sounds like, you know, the owner really has no role in this. They teach them the mechanics and then just walk away, please. And that's not true, because there are several really, really important things that only the owner can do. No one else from the outside can do. And so I'm glad you asked. I'd like to share that. One is, in order for a successor to hone their decision-making, the owner really has to let them make decisions and sometimes fail. Mm-hmm. And I mean, there's a process. Clearly, you don't have them make business jeopardizing decisions out of the gate. So you start small, and then as it becomes bigger, you have check-ins, so you do course corrections. and so you can reverse any mistakes that they make. And that's how you groom them to be a good decision maker. So that's one. Second one, typically an owner has been in that business for a fair number of years. And they're really the only ones who can share past mistakes that they've made and the lessons that they learned from that. And I think that's pretty critical to help the successor avoid making those same mistakes. Mm-hmm. And then the third one's kind of interesting. In our field, in our profession, one of the sayings that we have is that culture eats strategy for lunch, right. Meaning that a strategy, the results you get from a strategy are kind of determined by the effectiveness of the culture. So if it's a dysfunctional culture, you get mediocre results. If it's a rock star culture, you get great results. And so really only the owner can help the successor appreciate what the culture is and appreciate the importance of the different aspects of that culture. And so those are three big areas I think that only the owner can really do and really has to do. So hopefully that helps and gives some perspective.
It gives me a lot to think about when I'm working with my clients and all of the things that they need. Thank you so very much for spending some more time with me. I always learn something when I hear, and, you know, even though this is one of our productions, I'm definitely going to be, you know, taking a look and reviewing it because there are some great points, and then I'm going to make some notes as well. Thank you so very much, Michael.
And thank you again for chatting with me.
We'll see you soon.
Bye now.